Every astronaut who leaves Earth knows they won't return the same. They give a piece of themselves, physically, mentally, maybe even spiritually, to the cosmos. And yet, they go. Not because it's easy, but because the view is worth the cost. Welcome to Cosmic Mirror, where we reflect on our place in the universe. Today we explore what long-duration orbit does to the human body and the human soul. When you trade gravity for the stars, what's the real cost of coming home? Hundreds of spaceflight experiments have explored how human physiology responds to long-term space exposure. The majority of the data was collected from crews working on the International Space Station. But nothing quite compares to living it, like NASA test pilots Sunitawilliams and Butchwilmore, who signed on for an 8-day mission and ended up spending 9 months in orbit. You can't just walk off the job in space. Microgravity and radiation exposure are a given, and the longer you're up there, the greater the toll. Both Butch and Suni have completed 3 missions to space. Essentially, astronauts trade parts of their health for the privilege of being in space. Is it worth it? If you're listening, maybe you'd take that risk. I know, I would. But what happens to the body after so many missions? And what are the psychological aftershocks once they're back on Earth? Even for veterans like Suni and Butch, both Navy pilots and spacewalk pros, re-entry wasn't all champagne and storytelling. As soon as they splash down in Florida, no time is wasted. Astronauts can't walk upon landing and are put on stretchers. They must relearn to walk. Rehab teams remove them from the water to solid ground and move fast for the best chance at restoring astronauts to normal function. NASA mandates at least a 45-day Earthbound rehab for returning astronauts. Luckily, they can rely on coworkers like Danielle Anderson for help. An active-duty Air Force physical therapist, she is stationed at Johnson Space Center and leads physical therapy services in the spectrum of injury prevention, management, and conditioning of neuromusculoskeletal conditions. And yes, gravity feels very heavy. They also get mental health therapy because returning to Earth can cause feelings of isolation and depression. Dr. Susan Albers, a psychologist from the Cleveland Clinic, explains that astronauts often face sensory overload when they return. Gravity pulls, smells overwhelm, and natural light can feel blinding. It's a total reconditioning. Imagine planning for 8 days and ending up on a floating lab for nearly a year. Missed holidays, milestones, and the simple act of hugging a loved one. It's not just the body that adjusts, it's the soul. One astronaut described being back as weird. That word stuck with me. What does that mean? Is it a body reaction or a soul reaction? They returned via SpaceX's Dragon in March 2025. Parachutes deployed, water landing executed, and then the smiling duo were carried out in wheelchairs. Gravity hurts. Severe muscle atrophy or bone loss in space could mean a crew member might fail to recover fully back on Earth. To combat this, astronauts do regular exercise and strength training before, during, and after a mission. Performing multi-joint weight-bearing exercises, such as push-ups for upper body strength and squats for lower body strength, can help develop stronger muscles and bones. One concern with the unexpected extension was the amount of pre-flight preparation. There is a difference between preconditioning for an 8-day trip versus a 9-month. Butch's chronic back pain from an old injury disappeared in space. It returned with gravity. What does that tell us about healing in 0G? Can we bottle that? Returning to gravity feels like an elephant pressing on your chest. People with conditions like fibromyalgia may understand this feeling. In space, fluid in the body tends to shift, moving up to the brain, causing puffiness. Back on Earth, it shifts as it reorients itself throughout the body. The point is, Earth is heavier than we realize, on every level. Re-entry is both physical and psychological. That weird feeling starts to make sense. Back on Earth, the pair underwent radiation tests and health assessments. Radiation in space damages healthy cells, and recovery is slow. They completed their physical therapy. But what about their psyches? Will they ever be the same? Their original mission launched June 5, 2024. Both were seasoned flyers, part of a test run for Boeing's Starliner. What should have been 8 days turned into 9 months. Starliner had thruster and helium leak issues. It docked safely with the ISS, but NASA deemed it unsafe for return. It came back empty in September 2024. Sunita and Butch stayed on the ISS. NASA has a standard re-entry program. Astronauts returning from long missions need to learn to walk again. Microgravity weakens muscles, especially the legs and spine, and affects bone density. Frank Rubio holds the record for the most consecutive days in space by an American, 371. So 9 months isn't a record, but it's close, so the plan changed. the astronauts remained on the ISS, which became their new workplace. Thankfully, the ISS is equipped for long stays. It is the size of a football stadium. There's even a cupola for gorgeous views of Earth, including sunrises and sunsets. Suni ran the Boston Marathon on another expedition in the exercise area. They joined the crew, became part of a long-duration mission, and did what astronauts do best: adapt. Sunita and Butch finally came home in March 2025. After 9 months in orbit, Earth felt unfamiliar. NASA enrolled them in a 45-day recovery program designed to rebuild strength, coordination, and balance. Earth's gravity pulls hard. Walking again takes effort. With expert guidance, they worked out at least 2 hours daily. Their programs were personalized. Every improvement mattered. Recovery wasn't just about exercise. They also worked with Boeing, shared insights from Starliner, and collaborated with NASA's Houston team to help shape future missions. Our bodies are built for Earth. Space challenges every system. Without gravity, muscles weaken, especially in the legs and core. The heart doesn't work as hard, and radiation exposure increases. Even the gut biome is impacted. NASA studies these changes carefully to prepare astronauts for return and to protect future space travelers. Physical therapy is essential. It rebuilds strength, balance, and internal stability. Therapists tailor routines that slowly reintroduce the body to gravity. The process is vital for full recovery. Suni and Butch's ailments weren't just physical. In space, the delay was emotional at times. They leaned on family for support and broke each day into manageable tasks. Suni was happy with the friend aboard the space station. They knew most of the crew. On the ISS, karaoke nights and shared meals brought comfort. Suni enjoyed listening to music in her private space, even to recharge. Butch said working out helped immensely, as it did Suni. He took it one day at a time and enjoyed taking photos and making meals for the crew. At home, recovery was slow. Not only was gravity always around, weighing down on fragile bodies, they were catching up with spouses, children, and even the family dog. Even though they had to get their bodies acclimated, they still had to work. Suni's fatigue was so bad that the early bird had a difficult time waking up in the morning. She was healing. Lasted weeks, but day by day, strength returned. Butch had back and neck issues that vanished in space, then returned the moment gravity kicked in during re-entry. But he purpose. To him, it beats pain. He coped by setting mental expectations early, keeping routines, and staying grounded in daily tasks. NASA's rehabilitation programs are critical. World-class medical teams monitor every phase of re-entry. The agency's researchers are working to lessen muscle atrophy and loss of bone density in astronauts involved in prolonged space flights. The University of Florida is now studying how long-term space travel affects the brain and body, with a focus on balance, performance, and adaptability. Spaceflight is demanding. It changes you. But the lessons from Suni and Butch are guiding the future. As private space travel nears, their experiences will help others fly higher, with fewer risks. So what do you think? Is spacewalking worth the health risks? Until next time, stay curious and reach for the stars to find all the answers.